The Blue Lagoon from 1980 looks like a simple tropical romance on the surface. Behind those stunning island shots and clear blue waters exists a whole world of controversy, accidents, and jaw-dropping moments that most people have never heard about. Some of these secrets changed laws, others led to scientific discoveries, and a few will make you question how this movie even got made. Let's get into it. Number 1 on our list brings us to the most explosive secret that defined this entire production. The Blue Lagoon sparked a national conversation about child actors and exploitation that reached the highest levels of government and changed how Hollywood operated going forward. Every single controversy, protective measure, and ethical debate stemmed from one central fact. The filmmakers knew that young people playing a character who experiences hormonal awakenings would cause problems, so they built an elaborate system of body doubles, strategic camera work, and physical coverage to avoid breaking child pornography laws. Kathy Trout, the 32-year-old dolphin trainer, did every actual nude scene. Hair got glued to Shield's chest for topless moments. Congress got involved and held hearings. Critics screamed about exploitation. Parents debated whether to let their kids see it. The film became a watershed moment for discussions about where Hollywood should draw the line with young performers. Shields herself testified before the United States Congress to explain how the protective measures worked. The fact that a teenage actress had to defend a movie to federal lawmakers shows how massive this controversy became. Looking back, Shields has acknowledged that the film exploited her youth, even though it technically stayed legal. She has said that such a production could never happen again, and she is right. Modern laws and cultural standards would immediately shut down any attempt to make a similar film with a 14-year-old actress today. The Blue Lagoon exists as a time capsule from an era when Hollywood could push boundaries that we now recognize as completely inappropriate regardless of the technical protections used. Secret number 2 shows how audiences and critics had completely opposite reactions to this film. The Blue Lagoon got absolutely destroyed by professional critics when it came out. Brooke Shields won the very first Razzie Award ever given for Worst Actress. The Razzies were created specifically to mock bad performances, and Shields took home the inaugural trophy. Rotten Tomatoes gives the film an 11% approval rating, which puts it in the category of critically despised movies. Critics called it exploitative, poorly acted, and morally questionable. The reviews focused heavily on the controversy, rather than evaluating the film as entertainment. Despite this critical massacre, The Blue Lagoon became a massive commercial success. The film cost only $4.5 million to make. It ended up grossing $58.8 million in North America alone, ranking as the 9th highest grossing film of 1980. It made more money than classics like The Blues Brothers. Audiences flooded theaters to see the beautiful tropical scenery and the controversial story that everyone was talking about. The cinematography by Nestor Almendros was so stunning that it earned an Oscar nomination for Best Cinematography. Almendros lost to Tess, but getting nominated proved that the visual artistry was legitimate, even if critics hated everything else. The musical score by Basil Polidorus became iconic and helped cement the film in pop culture memory. This massive split between critical hatred and audience enthusiasm shows how visual appeal can completely trump negative reviews. People wanted to see those gorgeous island locations and the taboo story regardless of what professional critics said. The success led to a 1991 sequel called Return to the Blue Lagoon starring Milla Jovovich, which changed the original ending to something darker. Number 3 focuses on who was actually on camera and how young Brooke Shields really was. Principal photography on the Blue Lagoon started in June 1979. Brooke Shields was only 14 years old when filming began. She played Emmeline Lestrange, a Victorian girl who gets shipwrecked with her cousin and grows up isolated on a Pacific island. The role required frequent scenes where the character embraces naturalism and sexuality as she matures. Having a 14-year-old actress in these situations ignited immediate controversy that exploded once the movie hit theaters. The production team knew they were walking a legal and ethical tightrope. They implemented extreme protective measures to avoid any actual exploitation while still telling their story. Beyond the body doubles and glued hair, the crew used careful camera work to create the illusion of nudity without ever actually filming the young actress inappropriately. Shields later reflected on the experience by saying that never again will a movie be made like that. She emphasized how the film pushed every possible boundary while technically following the law through clever techniques. Modern child labor laws and exploitation protections would make this kind of production completely impossible today. The standards from 1980 allowed filmmakers to get away with things that would immediately shut down a production now. Shields has spent recent years discussing how the film exploited her youth, even though it stayed legal. Her perspective has evolved from defending the artistic merit to acknowledging the problematic aspects of having a 14-year-old in these situations, regardless of the technical protections used. Secret number 4 takes us to the government getting involved in Hollywood business. The controversy around the Blue Lagoon went way beyond gossip columns and movie reviews. In the early 1980s, the film actually triggered a United States congressional inquiry into child pornography and exploitation in media. Brooke Shields, still a teenager at the time, had to travel to Washington and testify before Congress about how the nude scenes were filmed. She calmly explained the technical methods used to protect her, including the body double system and the hair gluing techniques. Shields told the Congressional committee that her breasts were always covered by either hair, clothing, or strategic camera angles that never showed anything. Critics like gossip columnist Rona Barrett had publicly labeled the film as something close to child pornography. People magazine ran a feature in 1980 with the headline, questioning whether this was too much, too young. The Congressional inquiry examined all the evidence and production methods before ultimately finding that no laws had been broken. The filmmakers had technically stayed within legal boundaries by using adult body doubles and protective measures. This inquiry happened just a couple years after Shields appeared in Pretty Baby from 1978, where she played a child prostitute at only 12 years old. That film also caused massive controversy. The Blue Lagoon inquiry highlighted growing national concerns about how Hollywood used young actors in sexualized roles. This secret reveals how the movie inadvertently influenced real policy discussions about ethics in the entertainment industry that continue to this day. Number 5 gets into the body double situation that caused chaos behind the scenes. The original stunt performer hired to do nude scenes for Brooke Shields suffered a devastating accident during production. She broke her back, which immediately created a major problem for the filmmakers. They scrambled to find a replacement who could match Shields' body type and handle the demanding underwater swimming sequences. The production ended up recruiting Kathy Trout, a 32-year-old dolphin trainer who had experience with marine environments. Trout stepped into the role on short notice and performed all the actual nude swimming scenes that appear in the final film. Brooke Shields confirmed in multiple interviews and during congressional testimony that she never actually appeared nude on camera. Every shot showing full nudity featured Trout instead. Shields only did scenes where her long hair, often a wig, got glued directly to her chest to prevent any exposure during topless moments. Costume designers literally used glue to attach her hair so nothing could accidentally slip during filming. Shields stated in television interviews that the nude scenes were not hard for her because she did not actually do them. This body double switch added enormous logistical complications to a shoot that was already incredibly difficult because of the remote location. The fact that they found someone who could step in and match Shields' appearance well enough to fool audiences shows how much planning went into protecting the young actress. Secret number 6 brings us back to those scientific consequences nobody saw coming. During post-production work on the film, a herpetologist named John Gibbons sat down to watch the Blue Lagoon. He noticed something strange in the background shots that showed island wildlife. An unfamiliar iguana appeared briefly on screen, and Gibbons recognized that it did not match any known species. His curiosity led him to travel all the way to Nanuya Lavu, where the filming took place. After extensive research on the island, Gibbons confirmed his suspicion. He had discovered a completely new species called Brachylophus vitiensis, which became known as the Fiji crested iguana. Scientists previously thought this species was extinct or limited to just one island location. The movie accidentally revealed a second population that nobody knew existed. Gibbons formally described and named the species in 1981, giving direct credit to the Blue Lagoon for making the discovery possible. Today, the Fiji crested iguana is classified as critically endangered, making this discovery even more important for conservation efforts. A Hollywood romance film accidentally contributed to saving an entire species from potential extinction. The production team had imported some animals from other continents to make the island look more exotic, which inadvertently mixed different ecosystems together. This practice would never happen today because of environmental protection laws, but it led to one of the most positive outcomes from this controversial production. Number 7 takes us into the personal drama that happened between takes. Randal Kleiser knew he needed real chemistry between his two leads, so he came up with a sneaky plan. He secretly placed a large photograph of Brooke's shields right above Christopher Atkins's bed in his tent. Atkins admitted years later that this trick actually worked. He developed real romantic feelings for Shields during the early part of filming. The two young actors shared genuinely tender moments together that enhanced the intimate scenes they had to perform. Atkins described it as a little bit of a romantic, innocent sort of romance in the very beginning. This engineered attraction represents the kind of directorial manipulation that was common back then, but would raise serious ethical questions today. Kleiser basically played matchmaker to improve his movie without telling either actor what he was doing. The romance did not last long, though. Shields grew increasingly tired of how seriously Atkins took the acting process. He would brood over his lines and stay in character, while she preferred joking around with the crew between takes. Atkins told People magazine in 1980 that Brooke got tired of him because she thought he took acting too seriously. Their arguments became a regular occurrence on set. The honeymoon phase ended and real tension took over. Kleiser turned this situation into an advantage by filming their most emotionally intense scenes during actual fights. When the characters Richard and Emmeline argued on screen, the actors were often genuinely frustrated with each other. This friction added an authentic emotional depth to the story that pure acting might not have achieved. Secret number 8 reveals how Christopher Atkins ended up in this movie and what he had to do on camera. Atkins was working at a restaurant when he got discovered. He had absolutely no acting training or experience before landing the role of Richard. Brooke Shields' mother, Terry Shields, insisted on casting Atkins after watching several auditions with other young actors like Williams. She thought his blonde, athletic look fit the character perfectly. Atkins had to learn everything about acting while actually filming scenes. He memorized lines on the fly and figured out how to hit marks and work with cameras as shooting progressed. The production also gave him a perm specifically to make him look more savage and wild. Here comes the part that created major differences in how the two leads were treated. Atkins performed all his own nudity scenes himself, including moments with brief frontal exposure. He was 18 years old during filming, which made it legal, but he has talked in interviews about how uncomfortable some of those scenes were. The cold ocean water during nude swimming sequences made certain shots less revealing than planned, which Atkins has joked about since. Meanwhile, Brooke Shields had body doubles and elaborate protection methods for any scene involving nudity. This difference sparked debates about gender disparities in Hollywood regarding on-screen exposure. Male actors faced pressure to do full nudity, while young actresses got protection. Atkins later said he felt proud of his commitment to the role despite the discomfort. Number 9 brings us to one of the most disturbing moments caught on camera, and it involved zero special effects. Veteran actor Leo McKern played Paddy Button, the old sailor who gets stranded with the kids. McKern decided to take things to an extreme level that shocked everyone on set. For his death scene, he grabbed a live crab and put it directly in his mouth. He just held it there, waiting for the director to call action. When the cameras started rolling, McKern let the crab crawl out of his mouth naturally, creating this horrifying image that made the crew gasp. No movie tricks, no fake crabs, no camera angles hiding anything, just pure commitment to making the scene as disturbing as possible. McKern was already well known for playing Rumpole in the British TV series Rumpole of the Bailey, so audiences knew him as this dignified actor. Watching him embrace the primitive spirit of this production by doing something so extreme showed his dedication. The crab scene became one of those moments that people who worked on the film never forgot. It captured the whole vibe of this production, where everyone was willing to push boundaries and do things that seem unthinkable by today's standards. Number 10 on our list takes us straight to the harsh reality of where this film was actually shot. Director Randal Kleiser wanted everything to look authentic, so he took his entire cast and crew to Nanuya Levu, a completely uninhabited island in Fiji. This place had absolutely nothing. No electricity anywhere on the island, no running water at all, no proper shelter waiting for anyone. The crew had to build a whole tent village from scratch and anchor a ship offshore just to store their equipment. Everyone lived like actual castaways for nearly 5 months straight. Brooke Shields, Christopher Atkins, and the whole production team dealt with constant insect attacks, tropical storms rolling through without warning, and regular bouts of food poisoning that knocked people out for days. Atkins has talked about how they encountered sharks during ocean filming sessions, which happened more often than anyone expected. The production brought in underwater experts Ron and Valerie Taylor, who were famous for their work on Jaws, to handle the shark-infested sequences. These experts wore chainmail suits for protection because the danger was completely real. The cast members actually experienced the isolation their characters went through on screen. Atkins described the whole experience as double culture shock, since he went from being a sailing instructor with zero acting experience to living on a deserted island while learning to act at the same time. This authentic suffering shows up in every frame of the movie. That raw, visceral feeling you get watching the film came at a serious human cost that audiences never saw. The Blue Lagoon remains one of the most complicated films ever made. Beautiful cinematography earned Oscar nominations, while ethical concerns sparked congressional hearings. Commercial success proved audiences wanted the fantasy, while critics condemned the exploitation. Scientific discoveries emerged from background footage while the cast suffered through primitive conditions. Every aspect contradicts something else, creating a legacy that nobody can quite figure out how to process even decades later. Don't forget to leave a like and a subscribe if you'd like to see more of our videos.